It's good to see you guys again.
Hello.
How's life?
It's life and it's going.
Yeah. We were talking about a little bit earlier, but I'm glad your dog's better.
Yeah, me too.
That's fucking scary shit.
Yeah, it could have that could have killed him. So I'm glad he's not dead.
Yeah, I know. I was kind of freaking out when he wasn't able to poop. He was throwing up.
He threw up 25 times in the day.
So at that point, is it just bile or just dry? Do dogs dry heave?
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
Kind of.
Because his body's literally trying to get out the rock. So
Yeah.
it's like,
There's
there's nothing to, it was stuck. So there's nothing to get out.
Yeah, it was primarily bile. And then as the day went on, it started getting darker. And I was like,
That's not good.
I don't think that's normal.
Yeah, it's fucking scary. Oh, and congratulations on becoming a doctor.
Oh, thank you. It's kind of crazy. I just don't feel like it.
What was your specific field again?
So I'm doing half neuro and then half pelvic floor. So I work with multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, any TBI, any neuro patient, and then also pelvic floor. So urinary incontinence, all the fun stuff.
Okay, well,
fecal incontinence.
Yeah, because we kind of covered, I skimmed through the last episode we did a couple years ago, and we kind of covered pelvic floor, but I knew nothing about it. Why is it, okay, I don't even know how to ask this question, how to start this topic, why do people not talk about that very much? The importance of a pelvic floor. What is a pelvic floor?
Yes.
Why is it crucial to your body?
A lot
That's
of
a good
reasons.
question.
I feel like it's just a very taboo thing to talk about, especially with men too, right? Because men need pelvic floor therapy as well. But what the pelvic floor is you have your pelvis and then you have a little bowl of muscles, and it's in charge of keeping your pelvic organs supported, maintaining your incontinence or your continence so you're not peeing and pooping yourself. For women, especially after having babies, if you are peeing yourself, that is not normal. So go see a pelvic floor therapist and we can help you.
So what's causing that specifically?
Weakness of the pelvic floor. There can be multiple problems. So if they have a prolapse, which is whenever the walls of, you can tell your story.
Oh my God. Yeah. I don't have one, but.
Not of her specifically, but when she was a medical scribe. But basically the walls, you have your pelvis, right? So pelvis. This is the front of the pelvis.
I'm so sad you guys don't do a podcast anymore. You guys are fucking hilarious.
This is the back of the pelvis, okay? So you have your bladder, your uterus, and then your rectum here. And there's walls between them. So sometimes when you're pregnant, not you, but women.
Hey, it's 2025. I think I can get pregnant these days.
Sometimes when you're pregnant, these walls can become weakened. So a prolapse can happen. So either your bladder can prolapse, your uterus can basically fall out of the vagina, the rectum can fall out of the anus, or it can fall into the vagina.
Wait, okay, yeah, can we, okay, hang on.
Not into the vagina, but
I thought there was a wall there.
Yeah, there's walls there, but it's basically that wall becomes weakened, so the rectum will kind of
so the
balloon
wall is
in.
still there, but it's
ballooning
falling.
in, yeah. And sometimes women can feel that. You feel heaviness in the vagina, or literally sometimes it's falling out based on the stage of the prolapse. So what pelvic floor therapy does is we can't really, in that case, fix the prolapse and push. You can push the uterus and rectum back in, but either you need
you can or cannot.
You can push it, but it's going to come back down with gravity.
It's really weird to watch.
Yeah. So
yeah, you traumatized.
Yeah, for sure. But surgical consults, pelvic floor therapy is going to help strengthen all of the pelvic floor muscles to help get it supported again.
Whoa. This episode of the podcast is brought to you by the amazing people over at Chop Chili. Guys, this is personally my favorite chili brand here in the state of New Mexico, and you can find them online at chopchilico.com. You can also find them all across the state of New Mexico at Sprouts, Albertsons, Smith's, and a bunch of other stores in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, Las Cruces. I believe they're even down in El Paso now. They sell red and green chili, of course. My personal favorite is this blend of red and green, and they also sell online frozen bags of green chili. So again, go to chopchilico.com to get yourself some amazing chili today. Now back to the podcast. What does surgery even look like for that? This is a wild subject to start
yeah.
on, by the way. But yeah, I don't. Yeah, are you like?
There's like different meshes they can do. So like sometimes they do a mesh to kind of like hold up the prolapse to basically act as like an external, not muscle, but external support.
Right. So I just trying to understand this. So I had to get a hernia repaired, and they put a mesh in there to like hold the shit together. Is that the same principle?
Yeah, fairly.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's kind of crazy because when I was in school, I watched, it wasn't a prolapse surgery, but it was a fistula repair. So what a fistula repair is, basically this woman came in and she was pooping out of her vagina, or like there was just poop coming out all the time. So like basically with the wall between go ahead.
Was it coming out of her butt too? Like, was she pooping out of both holes, or just like?
Yes, but like she was constantly leaking poop out of her vagina because a fistula is a breakage of the wall between the rectum and the vagina. So the poop was exiting the rectum and then coming out of the vagina.
That's a new fear unlocked.
Yeah. So, because basically, I mean, you think of the vagina, you don't have voluntary like muscular control, right? So it's like your rectum, you have that voluntary and involuntary control of the sphincters. So like, can I go into this? Because I love this.
You can't. Yeah.
Okay.
If you can't go into, that's just a crazy thing that you would want to. I mean, it's awesome you're doing it. We need people like you. But holy fuck, man.
So basically, normal function of the rectum, right? So you have a sphincter, double sphincter. So you have an internal sphincter and external sphincter. So this internal sphincter,
okay,
is under involuntary control. So the poop is going to come down and it's going to
from the small intestine, right? Large intestine.
The large intestine.
Large intestine.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, I'm not.
Sorry.
I mean, it does start with the small
Four-time
intestine.
college
That is okay.
attendee.
Yeah, that is totally okay. Okay, so involuntary control, the poop comes down, is going to activate the sphincter, and then it's going to relax, send a signal to your brain and be like, yo, I need a poop. So then this sphincter is under voluntary control. So then normally you go to the bathroom, you tell your butthole to relax, and you go poop.
Okay, so pause real quick. So quick question. So I have heard recently that you're not supposed to push.
No.
When you're pooping. It's supposed to be a normal thing that your body does by itself.
That can lead to prolapse if you're pushing. So men can also get rectal prolapses. So how you deal with that, okay?
So don't push.
Don't push. What that kind of indicates is you're probably not having enough fiber, not enough fluid, not enough physical activity. You need to get that under control. Okay? Because you're constipated and that poop is hard.
And so then is there any science behind, like, 'cause I have a couple buddies that buy those, the happy.
I'm asking for a friend.
No, 'cause I want to buy one of these, but I don't know if it's worth my money.
Oh,
It's
the squatty potties?
The squatty potties.
Get a I have
Having
it.
your
I love it.
knees up, is that actually how you're supposed to be doing it?
Yes. So what that does.
Well, hey.
You want your feet up by your head.
No, I'm not.
That's good. Wow.
So what that does is you have a muscle called your puborectalis. Can you be my rectum?
You made that up.
No.
Puborectalis.
Yeah, so I'm the puborectalis, okay?
How big do you want my butthole?
Well, the butthole like that. So this is your puborectalis, okay? So whenever your knees are higher than your hips.
Science is fun.
Don't look at me like that.
She's a butthole. She's happy. Okay.
Okay.
So butthole, puborectalis. Okay. So whenever your knees are higher than your knees are higher than your hips, and you're in that position, that relaxes the puborectalis. So normally when people are just sitting normally or your legs are dangling, this is still contracted, which can then lead to like straining and pushing.
Why people want to? Oh,
yeah, because you're contracted, and the poop is like, come on, I need to come out of here.
But so these above
Knees.
your hips.
So you're like this.
Yeah, so it forces the muscle to just
Relax.
unclench.
Yes,
Okay.
basically. And then you want to focus on like inhaling. So when you're inhaling, you're basically increasing pressure down into the pelvic floor because the diaphragm is descending and the pelvic floor is relaxing. So it's basically all of like pressure regulation things. So that's why we focus a lot on like breathing and like core control, muscle control, because everything is intercorrelated with each other. If that makes sense.
Yes. Yes, that's just crazy. Okay, so then back to like repairing it. So how you get surgeries to put meshes in it, or
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like
If the prolapse isn't so intense, you can do something called a pessary, and it's basically like a little disc that they like stick into the vagina, and they will
Keep going. I'm just going to check the cameras and shit.
they basically will position it to where it will support whatever is prolapsing. So it acts as like not external muscle, but like external support.
Like a little plate.
Yeah, it's like literally a little like bowl. It's like a little like flexible bowl. They put it in.
I was going to say, well, is that like, is it like?
It's flexible. So they like fold it, they stick it in, it like expands in there. So it's like a little.
Okay, so it supports itself.
So it's like those like period cups.
Yeah.
I was
You
going to
can
ask
think of
like
it
if it
as
was like sewn in there,
you know,
but it's just
not
like,
sewn. Yeah, it's just like.
I've also seen it where they literally just like push it aggressively back in and pack it, and then they're like, all right.
A lot of these solutions to like women's problems are such man-created things.
It's
Like
very
I
bad.
forget what comedian has a bit about it, but it's like tampons being such a male creation. Like just shove something up there,
Just fucking
it'll be
shove
fine.
some cotton in there, but yeah,
So-
there needs just more education around women's health. But I'm happy to do it.
Yes, I have a lot of different questions.
Yeah.
Okay, so but back to like that.
Hold on, what is this?
Like you did neuro study and what was the other word?
Pelvic floor.
Pelvic floor. Okay.
Yes.
So I found on Instagram like a month ago, it's become a new fear of mine. A stoma.
A stoma.
A stoma. Does that have anything to do with like pelvic floor? It's like more digestive issues. But do you know what that is?
I'm not sure what a
That sounds
stoma is.
familiar.
It's
Yeah.
Okay, so something happens with the digestive tract and they take wherever in the intestine, it's either like what's affected by it or where it connects to, I guess, your inner sphincter. Is that what that was?
Hold on, go back. So it's in the rectum? Are we in the rectum?
I don't know. I'll just pull it up.
Where are we, in the
basically
rectum or
what
in
it
the
is, they take like,
urethra?
well, they take a part of the, what's it called? The organ and it's like protrudes out of your body.
Oh, you're talking about
You know what
like
I'm
the
talking
bag?
about? So it's
Like
not
an
just,
ostomy bag?
it's
Because
kind of
like with ostomy bags, there's stomas that come out of it, and then the ostomy bag.
yeah, I
goes
was
on
going to say,
top
so
of
a
it.
stoma that is artificially opening is an artificial opening created through surgery in the body's wall, usually in the abdomen to allow waste products such as urine or stool to be diverted outside the body. Okay,
Yeah.
so what causes like you to have to have that done?
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say a lot of different things.
Yeah, like multiple things for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because like when I worked in wound care, I dealt with a lot of stomas,
Yeah,
but I never really
basically-
knew like why. I just had to clean them.
Well, because like basically you need another way of like exiting waste, right? So like either their butthole is like closed shut or
That can happen.
because you need to exit that. That's literally shit in your body that you
Well,
need.
right. No, I'm saying is
Get out.
it because you said it was involuntary, the
Yeah.
inner rectum, right?
Yeah, the inner sphincter, uh-huh.
Sphincter. Okay.
Yeah.
So, it's involuntary. So so it just decides to not open to pass through to the.
Depending on so like going to the nervous system. So our nervous system is going to control our continence. So usually like you have like your cervical, your thoracic, and then your sacral nerves that come out. So the sacral nerves are in charge of like maintaining our continence. So like say someone has a spinal cord injury at a certain level, then everything below that is not going to be working. So like they're not going to have voluntary control of going to the bathroom. It's just going to come out
Right.
because it's not going to send any signal back to the brain. But I'm not like completely sure on like why they would need to like sew up the butthole and like stuff like that. Because sometimes or like why they would need an ostomy bag. There's like multiple reasons for sure, but I'm not completely sure.
What-
Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah.
What made you interested in getting into this specific field? Is there so much to do in medicine?
Yes.
Why pelvic floor? And I guess it makes sense why the neuro goes with it
Yeah.
because of the signals being sent. But yeah, why get into this kind of stuff?
I love like it just makes such an impact on people's lives. Like imagine just like put yourself in someone's shoes that's like unable to have voluntary control of going to the bathroom, or like you're always peeing your pants, like you're unable to go and do like your daily life because it's like you're having leakage, and it's you're like if you're like post pregnancy or you just had a baby and they're like this is just my life now, and like women aren't educated about the help that pelvic floor therapy can help them, and they're like their quality of life is just shit now because they're wearing diapers. Like I've had like 20-year-olds like coming to me wearing diapers. They're leaking, and their life is just like revolved around peeing their pants all day.
Well, because I think I remember like hearing like a stereotype or like a rumor about like it's normal to involuntary pee either like during the last few like days or weeks of pregnancy and then like afterwards. I heard that was like normal.
No.
I just,
Yeah.
well,
Depending, it's not normal.
Right.
But like it's something that is common, right? Because it's like, especially after pregnancy, it's like your baby is putting so much pressure on your bladder that like sometimes the muscles just are not made to support that. So it's like they're going to relax and you're going to have some leakage. But it's like you go get on a different point of view, like people that are getting like total knee replacements, like what do you do before that? You do prehab and you do post-hab, right? But like with pregnancy, it's not looked at the same way, which it should be because your body's going through such a traumatic event. You're literally like pushing a baby out of your vagina. Those muscles are being impacted and they should be able to repair them afterwards, just like if you're getting a total knee replacement, total hip replacement, stuff like that. So I think it's just not standard of care, which I feel like it is going in that direction because a lot more doctors are referring patients, but it's just something that people just don't know about.
so yeah, more on the preventative side of things. What can you do to avoid these horrible like fucking prolapse?
And go to a pelvic floor therapist. But prolapse, come to me. There's just so many different dysfunctions of pelvic floor. So, but like specifically talking about prolapse, a lot of it is pressure regulation. So things like not pushing when you're pooping or being able to control your breath, especially as like an athlete and like powerlifting and stuff. Because prolapse can happen if you're like super heavy lifting and you're not able to breathe properly because that's going to increase pressure in the intra-abdominal pressure and that puts pressure on the pelvic floor.
Well, the pressure's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you're not
It's gonna go down.
exhaling, it'll. Oh, what the fuck?
Yes. It's science.
So, yeah. So a lot of like, is it like stretches you do, just breathing exercises that you do? How do you like? And then how would you know outside of the extremes? How would you know if you're starting to have issues?
Your body will tell you, like you'll feel it. Like sometimes, especially with prolapse, like you feel like a pressure in like either the rectum, the vagina, or you just feel like a pressure in your pelvic floor. And how to fix that is just doing like basic pelvic girdle strengthening, teaching how to pelvic girdle. So like pelvic girdle is just the pelvis and then like the glutes, the hamstrings, everything that connects to the pelvis is the pelvic girdle. So basically what you do is strengthen those muscles. I would do a pelvic floor assessment because a lot of times it's pressure regulation. So a lot of people don't know how to like properly contract their pelvic floor. And like that's
Is that
why
like doing Kegels?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's why there's so much controversy around Kegels because it's like not everybody should be doing Kegels.
I gotta be honest, I don't fully understand what Kegels are.
It's well for males, it's like, do you know when you're able to like voluntarily like flex your penis basically?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that is a pelvic floor contraction. So you're doing a pelvic floor contraction there. Yeah. And then like for women, like if you're able to like go to the bathroom and you're like squeezing the pelvic floor to like stop a stream of urine, which you shouldn't do, but just like as an example, that's a Kegel.
Why is that bad for you? I mean, you need to get it all out, but like,
Yeah,
why is
because-
like stopping it a bad thing?
Because if you do that over time, then your brain is going to start to associate like going and sitting to the bathroom as like, I shouldn't be going to the bathroom, which leads to urinary retention. So your body is going to not relax when you're going to the bathroom. So it's going to be like, oh, I'm going to the bathroom, I'm going to contract, which you shouldn't. It should relax and you should be able to empty your bladder. But then the opposite can happen is urinary retention, where there's just too much urine being filled in the bladder and you're not able to empty.
So why does anxiety tell your brain to not pee or use the bathroom at all?
What do you mean?
Like, you know, like peeing in public.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's like for instance, when I was in the military and they would drug test us every month that we went to drill, I would be one of the last 3 people no matter how much like monsters I would chug or water or whatever I would do to try to like loosen this up. Because they have to watch you pee.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, they have to watch you pee into a cup. Like you go to the bathroom and you have to,
Do you have to be facing them or can you be like,
No,
turning
you're
around?
like
I would
facing,
be so nervous.
You know,
I'd
you're
be,
like facing
sitting
the
there
urinal.
for 2 minutes.
A lot of them are pretty chill about it because it's the National Guard. And they're like, whatever. But for the most part, yeah, you're like, you'd stand in a urinal or in the stall and your fucking sergeant's behind you just like.
Nice dick.
Yep.
So, but most of them like would just like wait for you to finish and like not bother you or whatever. But you had a couple of fucking assholes that came in from like active duty that were like, fucking
I
gay
wouldn't be.
about it. But anyway, like for me, I would be one of the last people to finish the drug test because I just couldn't pee because of anxiety.
Yeah.
Why does your brain tell you to stop?
Well, I mean, that's
due to anxious,
an uncomfortable thing, right? So then, like, especially since you've been experienced that like repetitively and it's uncomfortable for you, like nobody wants them like watching your freaking vagina or penis while you're peeing. Like no one wants that. So it's like now, whenever you're going to the bathroom, you're going to have that association in your brain with that, like basically traumatic experience. So then it's going to correlate.
Okay, I don't call it traumatic.
Yeah, but
quote unquote.
Yeah, quote unquote, like traumatic.
Uncomfortable.
Uncomfortable experience.
Slight,
So your brain is going to associate that now with anxiety and not being able to go to the bathroom because you're like, someone's watching you.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I'm fascinated by the fact that you went into like the pelvic floor stuff.
I love it.
Yeah, what makes you love it so much?
Like I said, it just makes such a big impact on people's quality of lives. And it's something that people are embarrassed to talk about. Like they don't want to talk about it. And like coming to me and like being able to like open up about everything that they're going through. And then also seeing like follow through and improving their quality of life. Like I feel like that is just a great feeling. Like I just love when patients like come to me and they're like, you really like changed my life. Like I don't think you understand like how much of an impact you made on me. And I feel like that feeling is what I really love doing this profession for.
And so getting that from the male side of things, getting that type of therapy done in preventatives part of your life, is that something that could like alleviate like ED or stuff like that?
Yeah, I had a couple of patients that came to pelvic floor therapy with ED, but it's basically what an erection is like obviously blood flow going to the penis and like also muscle contraction. So we're basically dealing and treating those two things. Sometimes it's not, pelvic floor therapy can't do a lot if it's like more like nervous system, because I'm not going to be able to change the nervous system, right? So like say post stroke or post like spinal cord injury, like that's not going to be able to be strengthened. But there's like some things that you can do with the pelvic floor that'll help improve it, but it's not going to necessarily like fix it or like take care of it in those cases.
So let's say somebody takes like what are they called, the fucking like blue chews,
like Viagra
or Hims or Viagra, stuff like that. Is that affecting the pelvic floor at all, or is that just sending a bunch more like
blood to
blood?
Yeah.
Okay. And I don't know how those fucking things work. I don't know if they affected the.
I'm not completely sure, but I'm sure it's not like great for.
Yeah, because I'm just. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just thinking because you were talking earlier about like how your brain gets trained, and if you're training it to like stop peeing while you're doing that, then it'll associate that, or going to the restroom if not using the restroom. So then in that same vein, if someone were to take like Blue Chew, Viagra, whatever, and the body and the brain they're able to get an erection like artificially, would that affect the pelvic floor at all? Is it's not getting used properly? Is my logic following, or am I just too stoned?
No.
Okay, cool.
No, okay. I follow. I like see where you're going and where you're thinking, but I'm not completely sure on like the physiology of it, because like what a Viagra does is it just increases blood flow. So you're obviously, what an erection is blood flow. So then it's going to erect. But I'm not completely sure if that actually affects like the pelvic floor muscles themselves.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure, because over time, like obviously you're not supposed to have an erection for like fucking 2 hours. So like I'm sure there's some like sort of correlation with pelvic floor dysfunction and taking Viagra's, but I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not completely sure.
So, and then I want to get into hydration as a overall subject, but how does hydration play a part in specifically pelvic floor issues, and then why is hydration important in general?
Yeah. Well, first off, if you're constipated, I think you're constipated because you're asking a lot of questions.
Oh no, I'm curious.
No, it's okay. I'm constipated too. So.
Oh, okay. Well,
like at this moment.
No, just like chronically, like.
So yes, but also no.
Sick.
You know, like I've been doing much better since I got out of school, because obviously stress is going to increase constipation.
Is that your traumatic event?
It really is. School was very traumatic for me. But as far as hydration, that's going to affect your pelvic floor with being able, one, to have bladder health. You have to be able to like reduce the acidity, go to the bathroom often, and then also for your...
how much is often and how much is too much?
A normal period between going to the bathroom is like 2 to 4 hours. So you shouldn't be peeing like every 30 minutes, every 45 minutes. Like that is called urinary frequency. So at that point, there may be something wrong with like the bladder itself, or you may be like consuming like bladder irritants, which is affecting your bladder. But also like on the other side with like the rectum, like obviously hydration is going to improve your constipation if you are constipated, because it's going to pull fluid into the colon, and then you're going to have like looser bowel movements. Yeah. And it's not going to be all pebble. So if you are constipated, look at the Bistral stool scale. And if you are like more on the lower side and you're like little rabbit pellets, no.
What is this?
Bistral stool.
Is it going to be a diagram of shit?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's my
It's like
favorite.
Bistrol, Bistral.
Bristol.
Stool chart.
STOOL, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know if
stool.
it's two
yeah,
O's.
it's 2 O's.
Yeah.
And then chart. Not sharp.
Well, also that.
Do you pull it up?
Yeah.
I also have a really good one I can send you that talks about what could be causing your poop to be like that and suggestions of how to improve it.
Yeah, because there's so many different things why you can be constipated.
Yep.
Yes, that is
Oh
it.
my God, 7 looks horrible.
Mm-hmm. So 7, no, you at 7. You
I've
need to,
never seen a Bristol stool chart related to food.
It's bad. There's like Snicker bars and stuff, and it like
Ew.
changes your perception on food.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're like on the gravy level, then you need to like consume more fiber, bulk up your stool.
Specifically insoluble fiber.
What is insoluble fiber?
It's a fiber.
okay,
I didn't know this was going to be this type of podcast.
I didn't think so either, and quite frankly, I'm shocked I've made it this far, because this is the one thing in life that I can't handle. Like
What, poop?
Yeah, I can't do it. I can deal with blood, snot, spit,
Yeah.
piss, throw up, poop. No.
Do you want kids one day or no?
Fuck no.
Okay.
No.
That's fair enough.
No, it terrifies me of having
Yeah,
kids. Well,
same.
I mean, I'd like to be a dad one day, but
It's hard. I think it's like
Yeah.
it's so different from like seeing someone else's baby shit and like it like stinks and it's not yours. But I feel like physiologically something happens when it's your own child.
yeah, probably. But I'd be lying if I said that dealing with shit wasn't one of the main reasons why I don't want kids.
Yeah.
But it's also like, money and the fact that I'm not married and shit
Sanity
like that. But,
Who?
I said sanity.
Sanity, yeah. And then just like free time.
Yeah, for
Like,
sure.
I couldn't be doing all the shit that I'm doing right now if I had kids.
Yeah.
But you could just put it in the corner, like put
No.
a little crate around it. Like not a crate. Like what are those
That's
like
why you
baby?
don't have a child.
I was gonna say, like, are you putting your baby in a cardboard box and
I
saying,
mean, if it's got breathing holes, I'm kidding. It's a joke, kind of.
well,
But no, what are those? Like, they have like baby pens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like put it.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it's like
No, just
children need attention.
Yeah,
it
it's
down,
good to
and
be
then-
selfish. Like, it's good to know that you're selfish because I'm selfish. Like, me
I'm
and Ryan
selfish.
don't want kids right now. So it's not like a no one day, but definitely like I'm just don't have no desire to have kids right now.
Yeah, and I'm a product of a child not getting enough attention from his father, and I just don't want a kid around
Yeah,
like me.
that's
I
fair.
don't need that. I already know how bad it went the first time. So yeah, well, it's just
That's fair.
yeah.
responsible.
Yeah.
Well, I do my best, but anyway, yeah, because I worked in caregiving for 3 years as like management and shit, and
Yeah.
it wasn't like a day-to-day thing, but there were times like I remember one, and I felt so fucking bad. Like I still feel bad.
Yeah.
We had this lady who was a patient with our company, and she had complete MS. And so what causes that, by the way?
MS.
Yeah.
Well, it's a upper motor neuron disease. So what that means is it affects areas in like the brain and the spinal cord. So it's going to affect like the white matter, and basically it'll present in different ways like spasticity, or their bowel and bladder continence can be affected, increased weakness, and there's a lot of different symptoms. Fatigue is a big one.
Wait, fatigue can cause MS.
No. That's like a symptom of it.
Oh.
Yeah.
You're like fuck.
Oh, yeah. I'm done.
Shit. Should I go to the doctor?
Yeah,
right
I'm
now?
done now.
It's so bad working with neuro patients because, like, since I'm so educated around like what is happening, I'm like, hold on, do I have a neurodiagnosis? Like all of the things that I feel, I'm like
Slightly
all my
autistic,
symptoms.
That's
Yeah,
all, just slightly.
all of us are a little bit on the
Oh
spectrum.
yeah, my brain's not wired correctly like, at all.
Yeah,
She knows
so
it. I know it.
it's very bad. It's like a double-edged sword to know like what to do, but also like I'm very just hyper aware of all of my symptoms. I'm like, hold on, I need to go get tested.
Well,
for
that's why a
this.
lot of people, I know people that don't go to the doctor because they're like, well, I think the car's running fine right now. If I go get it looked at, they're going to give me 15 different issues and I don't get diagnosed with anything. I was like, well,
It's
That's
hard.
why I refuse to go to the eye doctor.
see,
Like
Yeah.
they've been calling me and texting me for like the past like year and a half, 2 years almost. And they're like, it's time for your checkup. I'm like, no, I know my eyes aren't doing good right now. They've gone a lot worse. Probably because I spend fucking 10, 12 hours a day just staring at multiple screens.
Same.
And like they twitch and stuff now. That might also be stress. I don't know. But yeah, I'm like, I don't want to go because I don't want to like wear contacts or do that. And it's fine. I can still see.
It's a sucky
Enough.
thing. It's just like, I feel like our medical system there is a lot of good, but there also is a lot of bad where it's like very broken and it makes people not go get diagnosed because it takes them. I've had patients like it took them 10 years to get diagnosed with and like they just kept getting dismissed by doctors. They like just didn't have the right treatment, the right resources. And like that's fair. People lose trust in the medical system.
that's also why, sadly enough, that's why a lot of people get out of the medical system
For
because
sure.
they see the corruption and like all the backdoor nonsense that happens. And so, man, I've heard everything from like, either doctors themselves or hospital administrators getting kickbacks for all the drugs that they prescribe and peddle out because of the insurance companies, and then some doctors get paid on how many doctors or how many patients they see a day and like what quotas you hit, and it's just like what the fuck. And then, I mean, not to get extremely political, but with the whole Doge stuff that's happening right now, they just kind of peaked a little bit into the Medicare and Medicaid, and in less than 24 hours, they found $150 million worth of fraud.
Fraud.
From last calendar year. And they're like, well, we'll get to that after we get to the DOD because what the fuck is going on there? But it's just interesting now that the conversation, like since obviously COVID accelerated things and whatever, but the outlook on our medical system has changed drastically in the last
yeah.
like 10 years. Did that ever, obviously it didn't deter you from getting into the medical field, but does that like worry you, the distrust in doctors these days?
Oh, for sure.
Because doctors still have a place in society, obviously, but then when you hear that, all the negatives behind it as well, it's like does that worry you at all?
I think you have to be a certain person to like go into the medical field and also like retire in the medical field because it is very exhausting. Like even just like my first year of being surrounded by it, like, sorry, I don't know why. I think it was a sensory thing.
I'm tickling her with the cord.
That was like very involuntary. But like it definitely takes a certain person because it is corrupt and there is a lot of like holes that you have to jump through that you don't realize until you actually start working. Like it's all like rainbows and butterflies. Like, yeah, I'm going to be helping people. Great. Like this is like my passion, what I want to do. And then you get into the field and it's like, oh, this isn't what I signed up for,
I don't want to get you in trouble. What are a couple of those things that you ran into or you're kind of surprised that you're having to...
Yeah, I think every medical professional deals with it. It's just like insurance things. It's like meeting quotas, productivity, all that stuff. Rather like all the productivity of like seeing certain patients, getting paid a certain amount based on the patients that you see, which shouldn't be the focus. And what should be the focus is patient care. Like, are they being taken care of? Are they getting the resources that they need? I think the big issue is like it's very money driven and business focused rather than the patient themselves and like the human that's coming to you,
Well, just think about the racket you have to go through to become a doctor. You have to take out, unless you are crazy rich, you have to take out an incredible amount of student loans to go through regular college and then like medical school and whatever else auxiliary trainings and schoolings you have to go through to go be a doctor and then whatever field you choose. But then that's also the only loan that you can take out and you can't get rid of it through bankruptcy. Mm-hmm. You can't get rid of it in debt or in death. Like it gets passed on to your next of kin. Like,
yeah, that's the thing is like I'm grateful.
Oh, you didn't know that about student? Do you have student loans?
No, I paid my college
Okay.
without loans.
Oh, sick. Oh, good job.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you like, let's say you had $60,000 of student debt or college loans, and you had a kid or whoever your next of kin, like your husband, your next of kin, whatever, and you die, they now absorb your debt.
That's so stupid.
Yeah.
It's
That's
just
wild.
like, yeah, it's crazy to think about like all the complexities of it for sure. I'm grateful that like PT school, like being a doctor of physical therapy, like being a medical doctor, that's like debt, especially if you're in private school and some private schools for PT school. But like I was lucky enough to like be able to like not have to take out loans for a living. So it's not like a crazy amount of debt where it's like I would be in debt my entire life. But that's definitely an issue.
So, and then more on the like the social view and conversation on doctors, like, I know it's not your specialty, but like all the anti-vax shit, does that just worry you at all? Like post-COVID, where it's like, because now we're
seeing measles, we're seeing like all of this
but how
stuff.
real is that though? Like the measles like outbreak, is it as bad as they're making it out to be? I know measles in general is bad, but like I find it very challenging to trust the corporate media these days.
It's very hard. Like it's like we're being, obviously with media, you're being fed some stuff that's like not accurate, right? But it's like what is accurate to believe, but that's, I don't know. I don't think I'm like educated enough around like the diving like deep, but I do like believe in vaccination, and I think that people should be vaccinated to prevent things like breaking out from that. But it's like, I don't know. I'm not educated enough around like why, what is true, what's not true, and like what we should be truly worried about and what we shouldn't. So I don't know. So
I do, and then because of RFK, it's like coming back in the conversation again about like all of the food dyes and all the like chemicals and shit in our foods. I want to get to that in a second, but just in general, hydration. We kind of covered it last time. She fucking hates me because of it.
I'm so proud of you for drinking water right now. I'm surprised it's not a fucking white Monster.
Hey,
and Zyn paired together.
I did leave my Zyn in the truck, and I'm kind of missing it right now, but it's fine. Anyway, so hydration. Why is it important? What are the bigger ways that it helps your daily life? And then how do you end up overhydrating? Because I know people like that where they drunk a ton of water, or maybe they've had like hydration salts and used too many of them, or whatever, and like flushes out like electrolytes and shit. But anyway, we'll get to that in a second. Why is hydration important?
Trying to think of like how to word this. I recently started getting into doing like reaction videos of like stupid advice on the social media.
I like those.
Yeah, thank you. And someone sent me a video last night, and they were like, you should react to this. And it was literally these two dudes talking about how we shouldn't drink water because it's a solvent, and everything that gets put in water dissolves. So we're literally dissolving our bodies. And I wanted to like go through the screen and fuck them up.
So they thought that, or they were telling, I don't think they actually thought that.
I think it's more rage bait, and they succeeded because I'm still pissed.
They were saying that because water is a solvent,
that it's dissolving our body and we're gonna die. And I was just like, what the fuck? I hate like internet is such a great thing, but at the same time, it's horrible.
So bad.
But yeah, I mean, water is so important because I can't remember off the top of my head the exact percentage, but I think it's like 60% of our body mass is water. I believe. Don't quote me on that. Like I said, I don't remember the exact, but it's a high amount. And like, think about it this way, like your blood is 98% water. So in order, like, so.
Wait, what?
Yeah, your blood.
Oh, no, I know what blood is. Okay, wait.
Like the red shit that you bleed. Yeah, you're just this. Let's make a blood pact.
Yeah, no. Okay, I know what blood is, but it's 98% water?
Yeah.
So then what's the rest of it?
Blood cells?
Like blood cells?
Yeah.
I'm not, okay.
I mean, I don't know like the specifics of like the 2%, but like I was doing like a seminar on hydration when I was looking up all like the statistics of like how much like your muscles, blood, brain, all that stuff is. And I was like, oh fuck, blood is 98%. Like I didn't realize it was that high either, but it makes sense. You think about it. Like, have you ever been pretty dehydrated and like you have brain fog, or you have a hard time like thinking or headache and stuff? Well, it's because if you're not drinking enough water to support that like 98% volume in your blood, the blood flow is going to have a harder time reaching your brain and providing
so it
it with that
slows
stuff.
down. Interesting.
Yeah. So like your body everything in your body needs water. Like all your cells, your muscles, the water can also help lubricate joints. Mm-hmm. Okay. Double checking. Fact check. And stuff. And so like, it's just important for that aspect. Like we are just, like I said, we're about like 60% water. So if you're not drinking enough water, then you're going to have like functioning issues at that point. And then on your thing about like overconsumption, I mean, everything can be toxic. It's just all the dosage. Like you said, there are definitely people who consume too much water and you can essentially like drown from the inside out. That takes a lot, and I don't know like how much you need to consume, but like
You drown from the inside out?
yeah, like you can drink enough water to where it's harmful.
Well, how does it start like drowning you from the inside out?
I don't know the specifics on it.
And I think it's like time
Yeah.
based. So if you drink like a gallon of water, like within like say 10 minutes, like that's more.
That's a lot. That's
yeah.
like your body can't process it fast enough. So,
So
it's
you just
just
get
like
stopped up?
kind of, yeah.
Oof.
I'd imagine so. And then also like you think about it, if you're super dehydrated, like you have to be really careful.
Careful.
My brain just broke. You have to be really careful about how quickly you rehydrate people. Like there's a science behind, and I don't know it like specifically, but there's a science behind like the rate and amount of water based on like how long you've been dehydrated or things like that, like so that you don't essentially like flood their system.
So does the body self-regulate when let's say you're rehydrating somebody with an IV and you're using IV fluids? Does it self-regulate how much of that it absorbs from the IV? So that makes sense? Is that a thing?
I
don't know. That's a good question, but I don't know.
You shouldn't have like, I think more than like a certain amount of bags of IV fluids, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like IVs hydrate you quicker because it goes directly into like
The system.
the system. And I would imagine that people who are giving you IVs take into consideration like your weight, your height, like those things that matter, you know, because like me being 5 feet, like 120 pounds, you know, if they gave me like, I don't know, like 20 liters, is that a lot?
I don't know. Well, like I know when I was like on my deathbed during school, they gave me, and like I was in the ER back and forth. I was like, just keep giving me fluids. Like I needed, like my body needed it. But they gave me like 3 bags, and like 3 days after that, I was so freaking puffy. Like I was like, my face was puffy. Like I was so puffy
Just
and
bloated.
like bloated. Yeah. I don't know the physiology behind why
Yeah,
that
like
happened.
when I
but
had rhabdo, I got 2 bags.
yeah.
Yeah, what now?
Rhabdomyolysis. It's where your body starts breaking down proteins.
Yeah.
Where your body starts like breaking down your proteins and stuff, and it's not fun and it hurts really bad.
Fuck.
Yeah, so that was fun. But I took 2 IV bags at that point, and then I wasn't puffy later on. I think that was like the first one. It was like, and I was like, and the medic, he was like, maybe you need a second one. I was like, okay.
Ashley, quick question about protein. I wonder if this is true or not, or if this is like bro science I just got told, but is out of your standard macronutrients, is protein the hardest one to digest? And that's why you need to drink a lot of water, like when you eat steak and stuff like that? Because I was told that protein is the hardest macronutrient for your body to digest, and so your body burns more calories digesting that than anything else, and that's like why part of why a high protein diet is good for weight loss.
So, yes and no. It's not necessarily that it's harder to break down so you burn more calories. It's got a higher thermic effect rate, meaning it just takes more calories in general to break it down, and it takes longer to digest. So for some people, they might view that like, I was about to say longevity. They like might view that, you know, the process of it breaking down and it taking a longer time than the other macronutrients as like harder. I think definitely, I mean, it depends. Like if you're eating like a 12-ounce steak, like that's just a lot of protein to digest, and it's a slow digesting macro. So then it might cause some digestive upset because of the time that it's staying in your tract and digesting. Right. I wouldn't necessarily label it as like it's a harder one to digest, but it takes more time to digest. And I think sometimes people
conflict the two.
Okay. You know, kind of view them as like one and the same. So I wouldn't necessarily say it's harder unless like you're lacking the enzymes to digest it, or you have like, I don't know, like intestinal issues that make it hard to digest protein. So then like on a case by case basis, it could be harder for some people.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. And then a little bit more about hydration and why people shouldn't be drinking energy drinks. What are the long-term effects of that? Of drinking just as like an energy drink a day?
I don't know the long-term effects. Like I personally haven't looked at any like recent research studies about long-term effects.
Because you take like pre-workouts or like
nope.
drink energy drinks, anything like that? I
mean, I use coffee.
Okay.
That's like, because coffee is the most researched with most positive outcome long-term effect-wise, like stimulant is caffeine. It's been researched the most, and it has like the best supporting.
Well, there's only like 80 grams of caffeine in a cup of coffee, right? Give or take.
I don't know the amount.
And then if you have like a small Monster, that one alone is like 120, 130.
Matcha, you said?
Monster.
Okay, I was like, I love matcha. I was like, I've been consuming that much caffeine.
That's why I'm
That's
jittery
why I'm
all the
so freaking shaky during the day.
Because I've always heard about it being like cardiovascular issues and it makes your heart beat too fast and you basically have a heart attack. Like, is that dumbing it down?
I don't know about like if it would cause a heart attack, but I definitely know from like personal experience, you know, it definitely increases that heart rate because it's trying to, like, you think about it, when you exercise, your heart rate increases, your blood flow increases, all that things. And so essentially the pre-workout is trying to stimulate that so that you can like have a better workout because, right?
Well, yeah, like on a physiological level, it's increasing your heart rate, right? But if you consume an excess amount of it, your body's not going to be able to keep up with that demand and your heart's not going to be able to keep up with that demand. So it's like you're going too fast, which can cause like a heart attack.
Well, I remember like years and years ago, I was like, I'm a lot better about energy drinks now, believe it or not. Believe it or not, because now I don't even buy like the big Monsters anymore. I have like the little ones.
Oh, okay. Progress.
Yeah, but it's progress. It's with the weaning off cycle.
Yeah.
But I remember years ago, I had this bullshit job where basically what we were doing, it got pitched to me as like, yeah, we're like social media marketing and we're gonna like we partner with these other businesses and blah 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 blah. Not true. Basically what it was is there was one charity that we worked with and it turned out to be an entire like fraudulent like slush fund of like like the kid was never sick and like it was like this.
That's awful. Have you seen apple cider vinegar?
Oh my God, fuck that lady.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Sure, I want to hear about that. But the kid was like never sick. Dad was lying. Whatever. Anyway, so what we would do is we would like set up tables in front of like a Walgreens or like a retail store or a restaurant and be like, "Do you want to donate
to the sick dying kid?"
And what
Just
was
a freaking
I didn't even know about this until I had like left the company. Well, even if like while I was there, I didn't know it was bullshit, obviously. But what's bullshit to me was we had to get at least $300 a day for it to make sense. And so when you donated the money, that's the people who donated money to us, right? Which people would, and like we went up to fucking like the Heights a couple of times. I'm telling you, like almost $1,000 a day. People were fucking donating.
People are so shitty. How do you go to bed at night?
Yeah.
Not the people donating, right?
No, not the
okay.
people. No. Like the people that are like scamming people.
them.
Yeah. And so, the person that was like running our branch was like fucking so sure of herself and either completely misled or a great liar, like whatever. But anyway, I remember like when I was working there and they would break down like where the money is going. It was like, okay, like, you know, this certain amount goes to pay the employees. This certain amount goes to like the overhead. This amount just goes into like the company, and then like only 25 or 30% of it goes to the actual charity. Yeah. And I remember just being like, that's bullshit. And then we had to make at a minimum like 33% of the like that was our take home, right? And I remember there were like some places like they would put like a Sam's Club, bigger place, you'd have more people. Well, if you have like 3 people each taking 33%, I'm not great at math, but then how much of it goes anywhere? They're basically just giving us money under the veil of help this like because of this sick kid, there's this whole charity now and that helps people, blah, 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 blah.
So they're taking the 1% home?
Right.
If there's 3 people?
Yeah.
Because that's 99?
Yeah.
Look at that quick math.
But yeah, I just remember going through that thing like, wow, that was bullshit. Oh,
That's wild.
Why I brought that up. Yeah. So long days. Mm-hmm. And then on top of that, I was going to the gym a lot. I started doing the podcast and I started picking up a little bit. And then girlfriend is a lot of things in life. So I was very tired all the time. So it started out with like a Monster. Then it went from a Monster to a Bang. And then it went from a Bang to 2 bangs.
2 bangs.
And yeah, and then it was 2 bangs and then a pre-workout.
Sick.
And I remember at one point I had because each bang has like 300 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah, those give me, I'm pretty sure I almost had a heart attack on one of those because I'm just so sensitive.
Yeah, they're like, it's like crack. Anyway, so I've never done crack, but I'd have to imagine.
Isn't crack just cocaine?
I don't know.
No, crack is like, I think it's free-base cocaine.
Oh.
Yes, because they're both opiates and they both come from poppy. Yeah, it's just like free-base, I think. Anyway, yeah, so I drank 2 of those. That's like 600 milligrams down the pipe. And then I had 2 scoops of pre-workout. And that was about like 200 milligrams ish. So I'm almost rocking up a gram of caffeine. And I remember and I'm working out. I'm at the gym. It's like 11:30 at night. And I'm like, this is a great workout. It's a great workout. And then just the switch flipped. And I think the correct medical term is the sense of impending doom. that set in.
Yes.
And I was just like, where the fuck am I? And I literally ran out of the gym like a psychopath.
I gotta keep up with my heart rate.
Yeah, I freaked the fuck out. I had a panic attack. I had to go home. I was trying to take a shower, and I was like hearing things. Like I was having like auditory hallucinations.
No.
Sick.
And then my heart rate crashed, and I was like, just dying on my bed. Oh yeah, it was not good.
Yeah, that's a lot of caffeine, buddy.
Yeah, so that's like the worst it's ever gotten. But now it's like I might have a smaller monster, like
I'm glad.
four times a week.
Okay, I'll stop harassing you so much when you post all your stupid fucking monsters. I'm like, dude, do you ever drink water? Like, you think of your body like a plant, you know?
If you're
just
pouring Monster on that soil.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not a good analogy. Like, the longest plant that I kept
Gatorade.
alive.
What plants?
Yeah.
What is it from Idiocracy? It's Gatorade. What electrolytes? What plants desire? Something like that. You ever seen that movie?
No.
Really? It's a great movie from like the early 2000s,
Okay.
and it's. There's a lot of things that they predict in that movie that are happening right now, but it's very funny. Like Terry Crews becomes the president, and he's just this jack dude with like the Uncle Sam thing, and they only water their plants with Gatorade.
In college, I only watered my plants with beer.
Really? Like, actually?
Yeah, they lasted a really long time.
I was like, did they grow?
Yeah. I mean, look at Henry.
Henry?
Yeah,
I don't know.
he outlived...
He's so cute.
What was her name? But he's dead now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sad.
We made plants together, and we named them. And
you
mine...
fed yours beer.
not
what's
that
like
one.
Keystone Light, I'm assuming.
No.
Can't be like Guinness.
No. What was I drinking in college? I don't know. I drank a lot in college. And so that's why, like, my hydration in college was alcohol. So I'm not one to talk. I mean, I'd like to make fun of you, but, like, I'm not, I get it. You know?
Yeah, shit happens.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's probably tequila, honestly.
Okay, it's not beer.
That's hard.
That's not beer.
It's probably that brand tequila. You know that one? That beer?
I mean, there were beers too. Like, anytime I'd be just drinking a beer, I'd look at my little plant and be like, here you go, buddy. Or, like, anytime I take a shot, I'm like, here's one for you.
One for me.
I didn't know how to take care of I still don't know how to take care of plants, and I want a whole garden.
You sing to them. You pet them.
Well,
I'm just screaming corn at it.
My buddy, my buddy's dad. My buddy.
Just like, okay.
My buddy's dad used to have a weed farm up in it's on the Colorado border. It's not in New Mexico. I forget what town it is, but anyway, they used to have a weed farm up there, and they would like set up speakers next to the weed plants and like play music. And apparently, well, okay, don't all of it was like dubstep and shit.
Oh.
Yeah, but apparently,
Plants
because I guess the vibrations or some shit was to like make the weed grow better or something.
That's still cute.
They're also stoners, so who the
There's
fuck knows
research.
Is there?
I don't know.
Well, I thought it was like if you play Beethoven for like babies, they get smarter.
That's
I'm
what my
sure.
mom did with me and
Yeah.
my sister, and look at how we turned out.
I mean, you're good at getting hydrated. That's nice. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because I spent like 2 years of my life just being like my blood was just like alcohol.
Well, because you completed college, right?
Yeah.
What did you get?
I have a degree.
Yeah, what did you get your degree in?
Public health and health education.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I dropped out like 4 times. So.
From college?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I got my associates in criminal justice and then tried to complete that. Didn't work out. Tried to do it again. Got deployed. And then went back to school afterwards for film school. Funding got cut. So I was like, all right, no college for Noah.
I mean,
Well, I feel like
it's
it like
not
did
for
you well
everybody.
because it's like you.
I mean,
know
I don't
this
even
stuff.
use my degree nowadays.
Yeah.
Like,
See, that's what I
Yeah.
worry about. Is like if I go like, and I remember I was having a conversation with a professor. It's all online for film school, and he goes, "Yeah, like tell me a little bit about yourself or whatever, and why are you taking this class?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, this is I think it's like intro to digital film production or some shit. Like, and I'm going to film school, so if this would be essential for film school." And he goes, "Okay, I'm gonna stop you right there. There is nothing about film school that's essential. There's nothing about college that's essential." And I was like, "What the fuck?" And he like keeps going to his different subjects. And I was like, "Okay, I know you have like 45 minutes planned, but can you like zero me in on that one real quick? Why
Yeah.
am I doing this?" And he just broke down like why it's a waste of time. And I was like,
yeah.
All right. Well,
You can do nowadays. You can do so much without having your degree.
Yeah, and I feel like college is really only good for people who are like going into the medical field and like actually need that.
yeah, you need educated doctors.
Yeah, like I switched my
Like
degree like
lawyers
freaking 4 times, and I landed on public health because like all my
What'd you start out with?
nutrition dietetics.
Oh, okay.
And then I had an eating disorder, and I was like, this doesn't fit well. Just doesn't feel good. Like, because I was like, in classes, we'd have to like analyze our own diet and stuff.
Was this when you were eating all the salmon or whatever the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, that was part of it for sure, but it was also like, I was like, yeah, I mean, I was like writing down like, okay, I like had salmon for breakfast, and I had salmon for lunch, and I had salmon for dinner. I had a piece of broccoli as dessert, like all this stuff.
How did you not get like what's it called?
Oh no, I got mercury poisoning.
You got mercury poisoning. That's
yeah,
right.
remember
That's right. Yeah.
in San Diego, and you guys took such good care of me.
Good.
Were you just like vomiting fucking everywhere? And
Yeah,
thing.
for like a week straight. And then like she was going to nationals for powerlifting in San Diego, right? Nationals. And I had already bought tickets because I was going to go with her. And like the week leading up to it, I like couldn't leave bed. I was so weak. I was like vomiting nonstop, couldn't hold anything down. And then I finally started feeling better. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go to San Diego. I feel good. I can do this. And then like 2 days into San Diego, I was like dying again. And then when I went back home, I went to the doctors, but I didn't tell them what my diet was because I have problems. But yeah, like I was in, dealing with like my eating disorder and stuff. And I was like analyzing my diet and we'd have to turn it in. And the professor would always be like, look at how good Natalie's eating is. I'm sitting there like, bitch, I literally just threw up before this class. Like this is not good eating.
So even the professor, the guy who's teaching you about your diet is saying salmon all day, every day is a good thing.
Yeah. It was a she. And she, I don't know, just like the time that I was in the nutrition dietetics program at UNM, it just felt very food focused in not a positive way. Like it was more towards like shaming people into eating certain things, which I'm very against. Like you can't make informed decisions out of fear or guilt or negative emotions. Like that's not an informed decision. That's just a manipulated decision at that point. And it just didn't feel good. And then like the fact that I was like around food so much and constantly thinking about food and then like battling my eating disorder, I was like, I should probably not be doing this. I'm going to stop. So then I went to athletic training because my like credits transferred over. And I'm also not a very big like school person. I just wanted to be fucking done. So I was like, I don't want to switch like degrees to where I need to stay in school longer than I have to. So I went to athletic training and then same thing. I just didn't really like it. So then I like found public health and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like I like research. I like health and stuff.
Well, in your opinion about like changing your diet and weight loss, what is the most sustainable? I know everyone's different and not the same thing is going to work for everybody, but what is the most like sustainable way to actually change your diet for the better and then have it be a long term? Like, because a lot of people, and I've gone through this myself, where it's like, yeah, I'm in it for like a month, I'm in it for like maybe like 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever, and then it's like just go through like a long period, not a long period of time, but like go through a period of time where it's just fast food and just shit and not going to the gym, and then it kind of just goes in waves. So what's the most sustainable way to change your diet and then make it long term?
I mean, the way that I teach my clients and the way that I believe in is addition, not restriction. Because so kind of what you're explaining, I'm assuming like when you dialed in and stuff or whatever, like you cut out fast food, like, the foods that you like do enjoy or like didn't allow yourself to have like, the occasional pizza or treats or sweets or whatever. And so like there's a psychological aspect to eating. And it's like we have a pleasure-seeking part in our brain. It's in like the middle of our brain. And it's very driven by food. It's also driven by like other things that cause pleasure too. But the brain knows that it's easier to get that sensation like through food than...
And is that a part of the endocrine system that's regulating all your hormones? Like
it's part of your
dopamines?
brain.
Okay.
It's in like the... Like if you took your brain out, it's like in the middle part.
Okay.
Hold on one second.
Is that regulate like dopamine, serotonin?
It can, yeah.
Okay.
But like specifically with like the pleasure seeking part of the brain. So basically like the more that you restrict something or the more that you tell yourself you shouldn't be having it, but like deep down in your core, it's something that you enjoy. Like it's like a toddler, like you tell them they can't have it. And all of a sudden it's like, they're just fixated on that one thing. So it makes it hard and you want it more and you like experience the frequency of wanting it more. And
Is this where addiction comes from?
maybe I'm not that's out of my scope of
Okay.
understanding.
This just sounds
Maybe.
like how addiction gets formed. Where it's
I
like,
mean, I know like with the pleasure seeking part of the brain
you're
too,
just
that's
constantly
also
feeding
like,
that.
yeah, where like addiction can be too.
Okay.
But so the approach that I like to take and the approach I like to teach people, because I'm all about sustainability and making it a lifestyle that you can follow, opposed to just like, okay, 2 months super in, 75 days hard, whatever. And then, after that, it's like, okay, well, let's just go back to whatever. And then you're constantly going back and forth and yo-yo dieting, essentially. And so the method of, addition, not restriction is, yeah, keep eating the foods that you like to eat right now. But while you do that, let's also add more nutritional value in it. So over time, we're essentially changing the way your brain thinks about food and what your brain actually wants. And so what I mean by that is like, when I was doing bodybuilding, I never used to really be a big like burger person, like cake person, anything like that. But when I was, doing my bodybuilding challenges, and probably you two can relate to this too, like, you'd eat so fucking strict during the week that, you kind of start seeing like all these foods that look good, and your brain's viewing it, and your brain's like, hey, that looks good, we should have that. And you're like, we can't have that. And it's like, but look at it. Like, and sometimes you start like salivating and you're like, what the fuck am I a dog? Like, what is going on? Look at and then your coach tells you like, oh, okay, you're going to have a cheat meal this weekend. So, I want you to go. And my coach would always tell me specifically what I had to have for my cheat meal. It's not like I had a free will. And so he'd be
this
like,
was the psycho salmon guy,
no,
right?
this is the first one.
Oh, this is still
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, my first coach was way better with like variety of food and not it being as extreme, but it was still very like, you have to eat exactly everything that I'm telling you. Like you can't have any free will. And so he'd be like, okay, you're going to have a cheat meal this week and I want you to go get a burger with, whatever on it, and like sweet potato fries and like carrot cake. And at this point, I'd never had like carrot cake in my life. I'm not a big cake person.
Same.
And so I was just like, okay. And I fucking hate sweet potato fries.
What?
I just hate sweet potatoes. I don't
love
like,
sweet
I
potato
know.
Why?
I don't know. I just don't like the taste of it. It's personal preference, man. I just don't like sweet potatoes. And so I was always like, anytime I'd have a cheat meal, I'd be like, I fucking hate burgers. Like, I'm not a big burger person. I don't like why are carrots in a cake? Which also, by the way, I love carrot cake now.
I love
like
carrot cake.
I fucking love
my
carrot
favorite.
cake now. And like, and so like, and then I was like, I fucking hate sweet potato fries. I was like, this cheat meal is gonna suck. And then I'd go, and I think it's just because, those foods are like designed and paired so well with like the texture, the smell, like the fat content, the carb content.
And you've been so deprived of anything you can season your food and use like, calorie-free
like,
sauces or whatever, but
Oh, Walden Farms.
Yeah.
Calorie-free sauce.
I hate that stuff.
I do like their pancake syrup, like how it tastes. But
Wait, what is it?
Walden Farms. It's like this whole brand where it's like 0 calorie, like salad dressings, pancake syrups, like chocolate dips, like all these things. So like my coach, the first coach was like, yeah, have as much Walden Farm shit as you want. So I'd literally be there just like, fucking
Just drinking some ranch.
but like, you'd go there, you'd eat it, and you'd just be like, oh my God, this is the greatest fucking thing I've ever had. Like, this is like orgasmic for my mouth. Like, this is the tits. Like, this is so good.
I remember after my competition, the first meal that I had was Dion's.
Yeah.
And that pizza, it still hasn't tasted that good ever.
And it's just crazy. And then, that would be my cheat meal every time. Would be a burger, sweet potato fries, and fucking carrot cake. And so when I finished, dieting and competing and stuff, whenever I'd go out to eat, my brain would always go to, oh, we want burgers, sweet potato fries, and carrot cake, because it got conditioned to that. It essentially took the experience of eating out being paired with those specific foods. And so my brain was like, we want that. And it took a while to retrain my brain and be like, remember, bitch, we don't even like sweet potato fries. Like, we're not even a big fan. Like, I like burgers, but when they can be like really, like, I'm a burger snob where it's like, I need like fucking mac and cheese on it. I need like just a plain burger. I'm just like, come on. Like, it's, like I want
So like
all the works.
Whataburger's not do it for you.
No, like I want fucking gourmet burgers. Like I'm very snobby when it comes to burgers. And so that's the reason why I don't really like getting burgers out to eat, because it's just like, they're just greasy and whatever. And I don't like them. And so it took a while to like remind myself, like, that's not what I actually want. Like, I don't actually want to eat that. I was conditioned to want to eat that. Like, we don't even like that. Like, we feel like shit every time we eat that. Like, I have tummy problems. Like, I just don't feel good.
Yeah.
And it's like, why do I keep making this choice around having this food? And so then by like essentially telling myself like, look, you don't have to restrict this food. You can, like, you're a grown fucking adult. You have permission from yourself to eat whatever you want. So try getting something else on the menu that you actually want to eat that's going to make you feel good. Because innately, we as humans, we want to feel good. We want to make good food choices. But then we just like get conditioned to these things that we're not even aware like we're getting conditioned to. And then we think that that's what we want. When really what we want are like foods that make us feel good, that give us energy, that don't slow us down, that don't cause tummy problems, that don't cause acne, like that don't bring all these like shitty side effects. But we think that like, oh, well, if I remove those foods, I'm restricting and I can never have them again. And so by doing the addition method where it's like, yeah, if you want to eat Whataburger or whatever, like try adding more veggies to it than you normally do. Like if you normally just get like tomatoes and lettuce, try adding some onions and pickles, get more nutritional value in your meal. And slowly over time, you start adding more and more. And then you start naturally making those swaps on your own where it's like, you know what? Maybe I don't want this burger anymore because like I don't feel good when I eat it. But maybe if I try like this option instead, that is, a little bit leaner in proteins and more balanced and half fiber and stuff, it's like, oh, I feel fucking awesome. And that tasted great. That's what I really want. Mm-hmm. And so the method of teaching people that like, you can have whatever you want. Like I literally tell my clients, I'm like, look, if you're expecting a meal plan, don't work with me. Because I'm not going to tell you what to eat. I'm not your mom. That's not my role. You're a grown adult. You can make these decisions for yourself. But instead, let me show you how good you can feel when you make informed decisions around your food because you understand how it's going to impact your body, how it's going to impact your health, how it's finally going to give you that like fat loss you want without feeling like you're restricted or you have to eat a fucking 1,000 calories a day or you can't have, pizza or like an occasional beer or stuff. Like you have to learn how to incorporate nutrition into your life if you want it to last. And going out to eat with friends or having a beer or making cookies or whatever it may be is part of a lot of people's lives. So learning how to incorporate that and also regulate when to stop eating it. Because that's the thing, those foods are really easy to overeat. And then afterwards you're like, oh fuck, I'm so full. I shouldn't have had that much. And then you start to feel bad about it and your brain starts going to like, well, maybe we shouldn't eat these foods anymore. Maybe we should restrict it. Maybe next time we get a craving for it, we should just be like, no, we have willpower or whatever.
Right.
And so it's just learning how to make the best choices that you can around food so that you feel your best. And when you feel your best, you'll also look your best and perform your best and stuff.
So performance specifically, do you immediately start recommending people to go to the gym and be active that way? Because like for me, I know what keeps my diet on track the best is going to the gym regularly because I know what the gym feels like either on no food or on shitty food. And I know what it's like on really good and sustaining nutritionally dense foods. So that was a big one for me. I was like, yeah, if you can't go fucking eat Whataburger or the exact opposite, you'll eat nothing. And then you never have a shitty gym session. Or if you just have a good like oatmeal and then go work out, you'll be all right.
Yeah. I mean, with my clients specifically, I don't require that they exercise because when it comes to fat loss, it's purely diet. Like, yes, exercise can help. And I'm very pro exercise, especially for women because it helps with our bone density. It helps with our longevity. It's really stupid. Like we start losing, 35% muscle mass when we turn like fucking 30 or bone density, not muscle mass.
What?
Sorry. Yeah. Girl. Well,
women also muscle mass because then you start to.
Women naturally have lower bone density than men.
Right.
And then when we get into our 30s, it starts like rapidly declining. But like strength training helps with that. So I'm very pro exercise. I think everybody should exercise, but for the aspect of improving your health and improving how you feel, not to generate fat loss because you can't outwork a crappy diet.
Yes.
And so a lot of people think they do when really like most of my clients, I just have them increase like their daily movement. Like you only burn about 5% of your energy towards exercise where you can burn 70% during rest. So it's like, let's be smarter about how we train. Like if I have clients that want to exercise or like in your case where like you are more consistent with training, then cool. Let's incorporate that and once again, learn how to eat to fuel your workouts so you see the benefits, so you feel good. Because once you start feeling good and you recognize what actions are actually causing that, it's so much easier to stick with it.
What are some of the main ones that are causing fat loss?
What?
Like main actions that are causing fat loss and like in your
How
rest
you eat.
period and stuff like that.
Oh, because I mean, you think about it. So like we've got technically 4 it might be 5 as I count. I'm trying to think in my head, but it's not working right now. We have like physical activity, which causes like calories burn or energy burn. Calories and energy, same. And that's 5%. And then we've got thermic effect of food, which is the calories burned to digest food. That's, I think, at 10%. And then we have NEAT, which is non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So like right now, you know how I haven't been sitting still? That's NEAT. Like anytime like doing this is NEAT. Like any movement that you do, like household chores, like walking the dog, you know, not staying still because your brain is not working well. Like anything that you do that like causes movement outside of exercise, that's 15%. So what are we at? We're at 40? Wait,
I don't know what numbers you said.
Okay,
You said
we're
like
at
5, 10.
15. So that's 25, 30. Something's not adding up here in my math.
I can't do basic
Whatever. So
arithmetic
there's
right
like-
now. My brain. Yeah.
So that's like 30, wait, 70, 80. Oh yeah. Okay. No, that's correct. So that's 30% of like what your body burns energy towards. And notice how exercise is the lowest. And then the other 70% comes from your basal metabolic rate or rest. They can kind of be used interchangeably. And that's basically like, we don't think about it because it happens without us consciously having to tell our body to do it. But like, circulating blood takes energy. Rebuilding blood cells, muscle tissues, repairing, you know, all those things, that takes energy. Forming thoughts takes energy. Blinking takes energy. Like pumping your heart takes energy. Breathing takes energy. Repairing, you know, muscles and all those things, that all takes energy that we just don't think about because it happens without us like having to consciously tell ourselves like, okay, breathe. You know, so
Right.
that
1 calorie,
right? 2 calories, like that's, you know, so most of your daily energy that you burn comes from just staying
existing.
alive. Yeah, just existing.
Just existing.
Just existing. And so then if you know, really focus on that and then you pair that with being more intentional about like your movement during the day and not being as sedentary, so not like sitting for long periods of time, you know, getting more steps in, parking further, taking stairs, like all these simple things that can add up, you'll burn more fat. Like walking actually allows for the fat to oxidize better out of your body. So it's like, okay, for the clients who don't want to exercise or who like don't feel confident enough to go to the gym or whatever it may be, okay, we don't have to pressure that. Because once again, I want their experience in my program to be something that's enjoyable and something that, you know, builds habits on top of each other so that confidence comes naturally. And then they're like, you know what? I feel ready to go to the gym. Because if you push people into doing things that they don't want to do, they're not going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to start like repelling against that and have adverse outcomes of what you actually want. So it's like, okay, you don't want to go to the gym. That's fine. So you're averaging like 5K steps a day. Can we go to 7? See what that does? So you don't like, I don't require my clients to exercise or go to the gym. If they're already doing it or they want to start doing it, then yeah, I help them with that. But like, it's not a requirement. If you don't want to go to the gym, you don't have to, and you'll still lose, you know, anywhere between like 5 to 15 pounds. So,
Right. And so with everything that's in the conversation, again, now with like red dyes and or just food dyes and like high fructose corn syrup and soy oils or whatever the fuck, all this stuff that RFK is talking about with trying to get that out of foods. I think that, what's it called? The fast food chain Steak and Shake, I think.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think we have one here.
Yeah.
Shake
Shack?
Steak and Shake. I think it's Steak and
It's
Shake.
Steak and
but I
Shake,
think
right?
there's also Shake Shack.
One of the two decided to start cooking with beef tallow again instead of like vegetable oils and canola oils and all that. What do you suggest to people generally as like things to look for on like the nutrition description on the back of foods or whatever? What are things they should actually be looking out for to like avoid generally?
So I don't know how I want to answer this. Because my thing, like, I think what RFK is doing with like removing these harmful ingredients is great, but I think it's kind of like throwing rocks at a wall. You know, it's not going to make that big of an impact because it's not addressing the root cause. However, we can't really address, like, the root cause is overconsumption, you know, over accessibility to these unhealthy foods, like healthier foods being, you know, we got to think about socioeconomic factors that play into the decisions people make when it comes to food. Like to tell everybody to just, you know, buy organic whole produce is shit because not everybody can afford that.
Right.
And so that's crap advice to give as like a general public statement. And that's kind of the same thing with like the red food dye and stuff. Like I think it's a step in the right direction, but I think our main focus should be more education on nutrition, which once again, that's a way harder feat to do than just removing these things. So like,
Well, because do elementary schools or middle schools these days, do they do health class?
They do, but I feel like it's not quality
yeah.
education, you know?
Well, like, cause I went and was a guest speaker. Sorry, I keep tickling
okay.
you with my cord. Because I went and did a guest presentation on nutrition at like a charter elementary school here in town, and it was like kinder through fifth. And just like some of the questions that they had, or like some of the things, because like I had a really simple game where it's like I taught them like what protein is, what vegetables are, you know, carbs and fat and stuff, and then I had them like pictures be like, okay, like what is the banana, like what type of macro is this fish, you know, like those types of things. And, you know, some of the kids were like, oh, the banana's protein. And I'm like, no.
Okay, but
like,
they're also like first graders though.
no, it was kinder through fifth. Like, so they were
First
all in
graders
one
are still
group.
dumb, generally.
But what I'm saying is like, you would think, like at that point you would think, or we should have some standardized curriculum about nutrition, because kids are literally the best people to be teaching nutrition to, because they are still in tune with their hunger cues. Adults are not. Adults,
But they also don't choose what they eat every day.
And their brain is also like receptive to learning and like taking
Yeah.
information and actually like sticking and
Yeah.
making an impact in their later on life, you know?
yeah. So it's like some of the stuff, like granted, like you said, they're young and stuff, and I don't expect them to, you know, fucking understand thermic effect of food and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like, there's an opportunity to improve our education system with the youth. And, you know, and one of my big things, like I fucking love when moms apply for my program, because one of my professors, he would always say that all health starts with mothers. And I completely agree with that, because how mothers eat affects their baby in utero.
Right.
It affects the gene expressions that they get and stuff. And so like how mothers eat and have their relationship with food and stuff when the kids are young, like that shapes how our future generation views food and health and things like that. And so
what does something like fetal alcohol syndrome cause in a child when they're born? 'Cause I just heard the term, but I've never like looked into what that is. And obviously, I'd imagine it's because they're, you know, drinking too much. The mom was drinking too much while the baby was in utero. But like, what does that cause to the person? Like what happens if you have fetal alcohol syndrome? Do you
I'm not
know?
completely sure.
I mean-
I learned this in school when I was
Yeah.
in the pediatrics, but I
Same, I
it's a
learned
lot.
it in public
Yeah.
health, but I don't know. It was like
Yeah.
a lot of years ago. I mean, I'm once again not entirely sure like the science behind it, but basically, like you said, like you're drinking alcohol. Alcohol is harmful to whoever's consuming it, whether you're an adult or a baby and stuff. And so it's probably, from my understanding, it's probably just affecting like the development of important parts, like, you know, the brain, the heart, the organs, things like that, behavioral stuff. So
and stuff that's not like when you're in utero, you're not developed, you know, like you don't get fully developed until like we're adults.
25.
Yeah. So it's like you're pouring a toxin to something that's not even developed yet. And it's like, what do you expect to happen?
Yeah. I mean, think about it this way. So there's a research field out there called nutrigenomics, which is a study of how mothers and fathers, what they eat before conceiving, what they eat during conceiving, what gene expression it turns on and off in the baby. And like you can manipulate that through food. And so if you can do that with food, like imagine like what Gabby said, like pouring a toxin into a baby,
Right.
like, yeah, of course it's going to come out, not.
What foods should be mostly consumed before pregnancy and during? And how much of that equation is
I feel like that's such a heavy question to
Yeah.
answer.
like affected by like what the guy consumes?
Well,
That's a
you
really
still-
good question.
You still get gene expression from the father, but it's like, I feel like from the mother, it's more so, especially with like how her mental health is during the pregnancy, like what she actually
Like
is
high cortisol levels will fuck up pregnancy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Especially gene expression with like how the baby deals with stress then, and like how they will deal with that when
Yeah.
they're out of the womb.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, off the top of my head, it's kind of still standard advice for like the general public too. It's like, you know, lean protein sources, fruits and veggies, fiber, you know, healthier carb sources and
That's
fat
okay.
sources.
It sounds like you mean.
Sorry, I keep attacking her with my cord. And you know, that type of stuff. I mean, granted, like I have worked with some pregnant women in the past, and you know, obviously giving nutritional advice to that is a little bit more like specific to them and their needs and where they're at in the pregnancy. Because that's the thing. Like, I have a client right now who's this week she'll be 20 weeks pregnant. That's exciting. Yeah. So she's 20 weeks pregnant. And so each week I'm providing her, like, I do my diligent research and provide her with, like, okay, this is exactly what's happening in your body and baby's body right now. And these are the type of foods that you need. So it's definitely more specific towards, like, where they're at in the pregnancy or pre-pregnancy, you know, those types of things. But I mean, definitely focusing on, like, more nutrient dense, like, whole foods are always going to be a safer bet than alcohol and like fast foods and all those types of things.
Yeah, it's like hard to give like a black and white answer because it's like
it depends on the person. It depends on the mother and also her current health too going into pregnancy. Yeah, that plays a really big role. You know, if you have someone who it's not as healthy to start, then yeah, we definitely need to focus more on the like nutritional aspect of it to try and change her gut microbiome and her gene expression for the baby. Versus if you have someone who is like really healthy going into it. Kind of like she said, it's not a very black and white general statement to give. It's more specific to the individual and, you know, their health and their current health.
That makes sense. It's a lot of information.
I know.
Digesting a little bit. That's crazy. Yeah. How does the gut biome affect the kid? Is just like filtering out like what nutrients are going to the child and they're getting wasted, obviously. So if that's fucked up, the kid doesn't get like fed properly.
Yeah, because you think about it, like, and you might be able to correct this more because like the anatomy aspect I'm envisioning in my head, but it may not be accurate. But like, you know, the placenta, like it feeds the baby. You know, that's where the baby. Right. That's why it goes in. It like gives in their little belly button and feeds them, right? Okay. and so like what the mother eats and stuff that obviously goes through the placenta into the baby and feeds the baby. But same thing like with the gut health and the gut bacteria too, because that plays a role into how food is digested, you know, how healthy your gut microbiome is, which is essentially just like the colony of good and bad bacteria in your gut. And like there was research studies done on, granted this was in like rodents and stuff, and I don't know if they've done it more recently on humans lately or anything like that. And that's a hard thing too. It's hard to do clinical research on babies and babies that aren't born. It's not very ethical because they can't really like consent to it. Yeah. That's actually why I left like the clinical research field in the hospital is because it was very unethical. But
what did you experience?
I was working on a study of opiate addiction in the emergency department, and we were looking at giving out buprenorphine buprenorphine is essentially an opiate that's like a partial agonist. So like you've got like the brain receptors, and what happens is like, so with methadone, it's a full agonist, meaning like the methadone comes in and it fully takes up that
the receptors, right?
The receptor in the brain. So you still get like the euphoric effect and those things, and it's easy to overdose still on methadone and like still stay addicted to methadone.
Oh shit.
However, and the other issue with methadone too is you have to go to a clinic. So you can't overdose in the clinics, but like you can still get it like on the streets and shit.
Yeah.
And so like for a lot of people, like the main demographic that does have like opiate addiction stuff, like a lot of them don't have easy accessibility to, you know, methadone clinics and stuff like that. Whereas buprenorphine, or Suboxone, you know, different names, same. It's a partial agonist, so instead of like it taking up the full receptor, it just partially sits there. So you don't get as high of a euphoric effect as you do as methadone. But basically, we were studying an injectable form of it that was long lasting, so it's slow released, and it stayed in your system for like 7 days. And we were trying to see if during those 7 days, because you're not withdrawing, you're not having cravings for it, like if people are more likely to go get like the help that they need and actually recover from their addiction. But in order to do this, the people had to sign informed consent forms. And like with research, usually like, because like I also did research on like HIV vaccines, and people would come in, they'd have a whole conversation with the principal investigator, which is like the doctor in charge, and the clinical research coordinator, and they, you know, go over all the pages of the informed consent, ask the questions, and have time to think about it and come back. But with this study, they had to actively be withdrawing in order to be qualified for the study, which is like, we would use something called a cow scale, which essentially told us
under duress, right? If you're signing an informed consent form while you're going through one of the worst experiences you can have.
Yeah, and so like on the cow scale, it's like a scale of 1 to 10. They had to be like an 8 out of 10 withdrawing to be qualified for the study. And so our principal investigator, I think he was really passionate about opiate addiction. I think he had good intentions, but I think his passion clouded his judgment, because there were times where we'd be like this was a nationwide study that was like done out of Yale, and we were a participating hospital. And so in order to stay in the study, you had to meet like certain criteria of like X amount of people enrolled and stuff, which that's also kind of a shitty thing too. And so our principal investigator, like ideally we were supposed to be able to get them to consent before they started withdrawing. And then as long as they got to an 8 out of 10, they'd be qualified for either the traditional sublingual Suboxone, which goes in your mouth, or the experimental one, which is an injection. But a lot of the times people would come in already withdrawing. And so he'd be like, if he just wanted people so that we'd stay in the study to like have a good outcome to help the opiate addiction. So like I said, good intentions, poor execution.
Because like, how else would you? I mean, yeah, you could try to do it when like have them sign it when they're not withdrawing, but
they're not coming into the emergency department not withdrawing.
It's like, how else are you gonna do it?
So it was like people would literally be throwing up, and I'm there like, you want to sign this paper? And I felt like I dreaded, like I literally would have migraines every day going to work because I was like, I don't fucking want to do this. Like this is hard. And then it was also really shitty too, because another thing is like, since we weren't getting a lot of people in the study, our principal investigator thought that like we just weren't screening enough people. So they put a requirement of like, so I'd get there at like 12 p.m. and stay till like 12 a.m. type of thing. It was like a weird shift. And he'd be like, okay, well, you guys have to screen 20 people a day and document it into the system. And so here people are going like, so first off, we're looking at the board of people coming in, and we're essentially just judging people based off of their history of like, oh, this person could have drug addiction, which is so shitty to do.
Well, but when everything is a nail, you become the hammer.
Yeah. But we're trying to hit that. So we'd be like, okay, well, let's go talk to like the person in A2 because they have a history of like pain management, like, you know, shitty things like that just didn't sit well.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, sorry if you're watching this, PI, but a lot of times I would just lie about the people that I talk to because I was like, I'm not going to go fucking, like, this person has a history of addiction and they're recovered. I'm not going to go ask them, hey, you done any drugs lately? Like, no. So I would just lie about, like, the people. And I'd literally just sit there for 10 hours, like, just tweedling my thumbs.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when we would actually go and screen, because me and Allie did this together.
I saw her the other day. She's a fellow, I want to say, maybe at my clinic. No, she's doing, I don't know, but she's at my clinic. She's doing her neuro rotation.
Oh, good. But when we would go into like people's rooms and stuff, like we have a questionnaire and things that we need to answer and stuff when we're doing our screenings. And oh my God, so many people, and rightfully so, I'd be mad at myself too if I walked in, you know, into the room like, hey, like I get this is a shitty day for you and you're here for like abdominal pain and you're having a hard time and I can visibly see you're in pain, but like, do you mind asking questions about your drug use history? Like, so it was just, and then another like, there are so many things that disqualified people from the study. Like for instance, they had to have 3 points of contact method. I don't even have 3 points of contact method. Like they had to have 3 different cell phone numbers that they could give us so we could follow up with them and make sure they were going to like the, you know, the therapy and all that stuff. And it's like, we don't have that. And then he was like, well, what people would do is because they would want to be in the study, they'd give us fake phone numbers. And then, our PI would be like, well, go in there with the work phone and call the number that they give you and like make sure it's a real number. I'm like, I'm not going to, thankfully my manager is like, no, you're not doing that. Like that's super unethical because you wouldn't do that to a patient there for pain or broken, whatever. And then, it was just like, it just made me feel really shitty about what I was doing. And it's just like, how this isn't cool. Like this is not okay. This is not ethical. And so I was like, you know what? Fuck this.
Yeah.
I'm quitting. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
But that's not all research, obviously. Because like I also worked on like heart stent research and stuff. And I did like exercise physiology research and then the HIV vaccine research and stuff. And like research is great. And I eventually do want to kind of find my way back into it, but more on like nutrition research. But yeah, I mean, kind of going like big circle back to like your first conversation about like the medical field and stuff. Like there's just, I think there's a lot of good intentions on doctors and medical workers. It's just they have these unrealistic expectations to me that are set by people who don't work in the medical field.
They want to make money.
Yep.
And it's like, you're not there to experience like what these doctors go through, what the requirements are, you know, things like that. It's just people in suits making these like standards and regulations that they have to meet, and they've never done what the doctors do a day in their life. And it's just like, you're not the type of people that should be making these requirements. It should be actual doctors making
People
these
on the ground,
requirements.
like that actually doing the work every day, not just people in suits trying to make a quota,
Yeah.
trying to make bonuses, trying not to let the budgets fall flat, or you know, that's fucking insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming back and doing this.
Of course.
I know you're going up to Colorado soon, so congratulations on that, right?
Washington.
Washington.
You're close.
I was like,
A green
Colorado
state.
one day. Yeah.
Okay. Well, congratulations on that.
Thank
and
you.
congratulations again on your successes of becoming a doctor and your continued
Thank
success
you.
in your business.
You as well with your podcast.
Oh, doing
Yeah,
my
I like
best.
the rebrand, and the sign looks great. And
Thank you. Had to get a little more professional.
Yeah.
I mean, we feel that. That's what we did too with ours. And then
Yeah.
And then where can people find you guys on social media?
Feet Finder. Just kidding.
My feet
kidding.
finders is
Gabby and Nat.
thinking about it. Just kidding.
Just kidding. You can find me on Instagram at NatCoaches.
And
And TikTok too. I'm on that now too. But I really just post what I post on my Instagram.
yeah,
So.
I have a TikTok, but I'm mostly on
You
Instagram.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Gabby Sanchez, I think.
There you
GABBYSANCH.
Sweet. Well, thank you guys again for coming to this. It was a lot of fun. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you like what you've seen here, please share it with as many people as possible. Follow us on YouTube, Spotify, Instagram, Facebook, Apple Podcasts. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. It really does help out the podcast. And if you're feeling extra generous, feel free to subscribe to our Patreon, which I have coming soon.